There's a primal force coursing through your veins right now, an energy that holds within it the power to create life, to transform worlds, to build empires, or tear them down completely. And you're probably wasting it. You're surrendering it to fleeting pleasures, mindless escapes, addictions that promise relief but deliver only emptiness. This force is your sexual energies, and it can be the key to everything you've ever desired, or the lock that will keep you forever a prisoner of your own mediocrity. Napoleon Hill, the man who cracked the code of wealth and success by studying history's greatest achievers, discovered something few dare acknowledge: the most powerful, most magnetic, most accomplished men were those who had learned to master and transmute the sexual energy. They didn't deny it, they didn't repress it like cowardly monks fleeing life, but they channel it like alchemists turning lead into gold. They understood that within the most primal sexual urge dwells the seed of all creation, all innovation, all true power. But look around you. We live in a society that has turned this sacred force into a cheap commodity. We're bombarded by stimuli that constantly invite us to waste, dissipate, and deplete ourselves. Pornography has become the opiate of the male masses, promising satisfaction but delivering only the gradual deterioration of will, determination, and the magnetic presence that should be our trademark as men. And we, like hypnotized automatons, follow this ritual of self-destruction disguised as pleasure, without realizing that, with each surrender, we're fueling our own weakness. Seminal retention isn't a new concept. Ancient cultures, from the Chinese Taoist to the Tantric masters of India, recognized that semen carries more than just genetic material. It carries the vital essence of man, his creative force, his spiritual potency. When constantly wasted through compulsive masturbation or mindless sex, this essence dissipates, taking with it determination, mental clarity, and energy that could be channeled into extraordinary achievements. Have you ever noticed how you feel after ejaculation? That subtle feeling of emptiness, loss of momentum, diminished life force? It's no coincidence. It's not just chemistry. It's not just chemistry. It's the reflection of a deeper truth. You've just donated your creative force to the void. You're achieving energy to nothingness. And modern society has normalized this, turned into a habit, what should be recognized as a dissipation of power. But there's another path, a path of transmutation, of inner alchemy, of consciously transforming sexual energy into achieving force. When you learn to retain your semen, you're not just conserving a bodily fluid. You're conserving your essence, your vitality, your ability to magnetize opportunities and people. You're accumulating the energy that history's great conquerors knew how to channel to build their empires. Napoleon Hill observed that the most successful men share a common characteristic, a peculiar magnetism, a presence that naturally attracted opportunities and people. This magnetism wasn't born from techniques or tricks, but from an inner energy preserved and directed with purpose. It was sexual energy transmuted into creative force, unwavering determination, and mental clarity capable of seeing opportunities where others saw only obstacles. Think of the great leaders, the innovators, the creators who changed the course of history. They all possessed an intensity, an inner force that set them apart from the masses. This force didn't come from nowhere. It was their vital energy preserved and channeled towards higher purposes. It was sexual fire transformed into creative fire, the reproductive drive converted into an achieving drive. Seminal retention awakens the sleeping warrior within you, the one who doesn't surrender to easy pleasures, who doesn't dissipate his strength in fleeting escapes, but accumulates it like a reservoir of power, ready to be unleashed at decisive moments. This inner warrior understands that every external victory begins with an internal victory, that all dominion in the outer world is born from self-mastery. When you stop compulsively ejaculating, something profound begins to transform within your psyche. The mental fog dissipates, giving way to sharp clarity. Lethargy gives way to vibrant energy. Insecurity is replaced by an unwavering confidence that emanates from every pore. You no longer need to seek external validation because you carry within you the source of all validation, your own preserved and intensified life force. But beware, this isn't a path for the faint of heart. It's not a quick technique to gain effortless power. Seminal retention is an alchemic process that demands discipline, awareness, and the courage to confront your own shadow. When you stop masturbating, when you stop ejaculating impulsively, all the escape mechanisms you used to avoid reality come to the surface. Every repressed emotional pain, every unhealed wound, every unfaced fear rises to the surface, demanding attention. It's at this point that many give up. They prefer to return to the false comfort of masturbation, to the illusion of relief that ejaculation offers. But those who persevere, who traverse this dark night of the soul with courage and determination, discover on the other side a version of themselves they never imagined possible, a magnetic, determined, unstoppable version. Retained sexual energy doesn't stagnate in the body, it transforms, elevates, refines itself. The Taoists call this the circulation of energy through the internal meridians. Medieval alchemists describe it as the transmutation of gross matter into subtle essence. Napoleon Hill termed it the conversion of sexual energy into creative and achieving energy. They all spoke of the same fundamental truth: the force that creates life can create anything. When your sexual energy is preserved and consciously directed, it becomes fuel for your highest ambitions. Every project you embrace receives a new intensity. Every goal you pursue is imbued with unwavering determination. Every relationship you cultivate is energized by a magnetic presence that naturally attracts respect and admiration. Semen retention, the path to unleashing your inner power. But don't be mistaken in thinking this happens automatically. Semen retention is only the first step. The second is learning to channel this preserved energy towards constructive purposes. Without direction, retained energy can manifest as restlessness, irritability, even destructive aggression. It's like building up pressure in a pot without a proper release valve. The ancient masters understood this. That's why they developed practices of energy circulation, transmutation exercises, and sublimation techniques. Understood that preserved sexual energy needs to be constantly refined and directed through intense creative, physical, and intellectual activities. Vigorous physical exercise, artistic creation, deep studies, building a business, developing skills. They are all constructive release valves for transmuted sexual energy. And here's a secret few know: retained sexual energy not only boosts your physical and mental strength, but also awakens dormant intuitive abilities. When you're not constantly dissipating your vital essence, when your energy is preserved and circulating internally, you develop a subtle sensitivity to opportunities, a sharp perception of people and situations, a refined intuition that guides you in the most important decisions. Great entrepreneurs report moments of insight that completely changed the course of their businesses. Leaders speak of intuitive decisions that led them to success against all odds. Creators describe moments of inspiration that produced their masterpieces. Behind all these accounts is the same force, preserved and transmuted sexual energy, awakening higher faculties of human consciousness. If you've come this far on this journey with me, if these words are resonating in your soul like long-forgotten truths, then you're ready for a real transformation. Don't be content with being just another passive observer of this age-old wisdom. Become an active practitioner, a warrior of transmutation, an alchemist of your own existence. Subscribe to this channel now and hit the notification bell, because what I share here isn't just theoretical concepts, but practical tools tested over millennia to awaken the power sleeping within you. Each video is a step on the ladder of personal transformation, and those truly committed to this path can't afford to miss a single lesson that could be the key to their next level of evolution. The journey of semen retention is fundamentally a journey of self-discovery. When you stop using masturbation as an escape, you're forced to confront what you were trying to avoid. Anxiety, boredom, loneliness, frustration, anger, all these emotions that were previously numbed by the momentary pleasure of ejaculation now emerge in their fullness, demanding attention and conscious resolution. This is the golden moment for real personal development. When you can no longer escape through masturbation, you're forced to find genuine solutions to your emotional and psychological challenges. You need to develop real emotional regulation skills, effective stress management strategies, and authentic practices of self-compassion and self-acceptance. Semen retention forces you to grow because it removes one of the main escape valves that maintain your emotional maturity. It's like taking the training wheels off a bicycle. You might fall a few times, but you soon develop the real balance that makes you truly independent. And as you develop all this inner balance, your outward presence transforms radically. People around you start to notice something different. They can't explain exactly what it is, but they perceive a new intensity in your eyes, a solid confidence in your movements, a natural authority in your words. It's the magnetism that Napoleon Hill observed in great leaders manifesting through you. This magnetism isn't something artificial that you need to build or perform. It emanates naturally when your vital energy is preserved and your presence is full. It's like the difference between a lamp powered by weak batteries and one connected directly to the power source. The second shines with a natural and constant intensity that naturally attracts attention. But be prepared for resistance. The world around you has been structured to keep you dissipating your energy, to keep you weak and dependent. The pornography industry, hypersexualized social media, the culture that normalizes masturbation as sexual health. These are all forces working against your evolution, because men with preserved and directed energy are dangerous to systems that depend on passivity and mild weakness. You'll discover that starting to practice semen retention is like declaring war against an entire culture of mediocrity and dissipation. Friends may ridicule your decision. The media may bombard you with contrary messages. Your own mind may create 1,000 justifications for you to give up and return to old patterns. But if you persevere, if you stay the course even when everything around you conspires against your evolution, you will discover an inner strength you thought impossible. This strength isn't just sexual. It's vital, creative, spiritual. It's the same force that drives seeds to break through concrete in search of light, that moves rivers to carve canyons in solid rock, that inspires birds to fly thousands of miles in their migrations. It's the force of life itself, preserved and concentrated within you. When this force is active and directed, you no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. You no longer need to seek external approval or constant validation. You carry within you an inexhaustible source of motivation, determination, and purpose. You become a center of emotional gravity, a stabilizing presence amidst chaos, a beacon of possibility for those still lost in the darkness of their own energetic waste. The great spiritual masters of all traditions recognized this truth. Celibacy wasn't a denial of sexuality, but a conscious transmutation of sexual energy into spiritual energy. They understood that the same force that creates physical bodies can create spiritual realities, that the same impulse that generates biological life can generate transcendent life. You don't need to become a monk or completely abstain from sex to reap the benefits of this practice. But you do need to cultivate awareness and discernment. You need to learn to distinguish between sacred sexuality and compulsive indulgence. You need to recognize when you're using sex as escapism and when you're using it as an expression of love and creativity. Conscious semen retention is a practice of continuous refinement. It's not about never ejaculating again, but about ejaculating consciously, purposefully, at appropriate times, and with people who deserve to receive your vital essence. It's about transforming a compulsive act into a sacred act, unconscious dissipation into a conscious offering. When you master your sexual energy in this way, when you learn to preserve, direct, and offer it consciously, you become the master of your own destiny. You're no longer a slave to unconscious impulses or socially accepted vices. You become the conscious architect of your own existence, the alchemist of your own transformation. And this transformation isn't limited to you. When a man truly awakens to his inner power, when he stops wasting his life force and learns to channel it towards higher purposes, he becomes a catalyst for transformation for everyone around him. His family benefits from his more present and grounded presence. His friends are inspired by his example of self-discipline and focus. His colleagues naturally respond to his magnetic leadership. Society as a whole elevates when individual men elevate. But this elevation comes at a price, the price of daily discipline, the price of constant vigilance over your own impulses, the price of the courage needed to confront the inner shadows that compulsive masturbation kept hidden, the price of persistence when the results aren't immediate and when temptation screams louder than wisdom. This price is high, but the benefits are infinitely greater. Imagine waking up every morning with vibrant energy coursing through your veins, crystal clear mental clarity illuminating your thoughts, unwavering determination driving your actions. Imagine looking into people's eyes and seeing automatic respect, not because you did something to earn it, but because you did something to earn it, but because your presence naturally radiates the strength of someone who is completely self-possessed. Imagine accessing reservoirs of creativity, you didn't even know existed. Concentration abilities that transform impossible obstacles into stimulating challenges. A refined intuition that guides you through the most complex decisions with the precision of an experienced navigator in uncharted waters. These aren't empty promises or motivational fantasies. They are real experiences reported by men throughout history who discovered and applied the principles of sexual transmutation. They are concrete possibilities available to any man willing to pay the price of discipline and conscious transformation. Modern science is beginning to validate what ancient masters always knew. Research shows that frequent ejaculation can decrease testosterone levels in the long term, affecting motivation and energy, negatively influencing confidence and assertiveness. Other studies indicate that periods of abstinence can increase dopaminergic sensitivity, improve focus and determination, intensify social presence and leadership capacity. But you don't need scientific validation to recognize the truth that resonates in your core. Your own body, your own experience, your own intuition are more reliable laboratories than any external study. Experiment for yourself. Commit to a period of conscious semen retention and observe the transformations that unfold in all aspects of your life. Start small if necessary, a week without masturbation. Then 2, then a month. Don't set unrealistic goals that set you up for failure, but also don't underestimate your capacity for transformation. You are stronger than you imagine, more resilient than you believe, more powerful than society wants you to know. And during this process of experimentation and growth, keep detailed records of your observations. How do you feel physical day by day? How is your mental energy, your motivation for important projects, your presence in social interactions, your ability to concentrate on challenging tasks, your creativity and problem-solving abilities? These records will become irrefutable evidence of the transformation occurring within you. And when the tough times come, and they will, you'll have concrete data reminding you why it's worth persevering on this path of elevation and personal power. Remember also that this journey is not solitary. Throughout history, men from all cultures and eras have discovered the same principles and trod similar paths of transmutation and elevation. You are part of an ancestral lineage of spiritual warriors, inner alchemists, masters of themselves, who chose the path of conscious discipline over unconscious dissipation. This lineage is not only historical, but also contemporary. Around the world, thousands of men are awakening to these truths, practicing semen retention, experiencing energetic transmutation, building extraordinary lives on the solid foundation of sexual self-mastery. You are not alone on this journey, even when it seems like the whole world around you is walking in the opposite direction. And as you progress on this path, as your inner strength intensifies and your presence magnifies, you will naturally become an example for other men who are still trapped in cycles of dissipation and weakness. You won't need to preach or convince anyone. Your own transformation will be preaching enough. Your preserving energy will be argument enough. Your elevated life will be invitation enough. But don't delude yourself into thinking this transformation will be only positive and comfortable. Real growth always involves symbolic death. To be born the powerful man you can become, you must die the weak man you have been. To emerge the disciplined warrior, you must bury the slave of impulses. To awaken the conscious alchemist, you must put to sleep the unconscious dissipator. This symbolic death can be painful. It might involve grieving the man you're leaving behind, fearing the unknown you're embracing, and resisting the parts of you that prefer the familiar comfort of mediocrity to the demanding uncertainty of excellence. But on the other side of this death, lies the rebirth you always knew was possible but never had the courage to fully pursue. Seminal retention is the gateway to this rebirth. It's not the final destination, but the first courageous step on a lifelong journey of transformation. It's the moment you decided to stop being a victim of your impulses and start being the master of your energy. It's when you choose alchemy over dissipation, elevation over mediocrity, power over weakness, and when you finally make this decision, not just intellectually, but viscerally, not just temporarily, but as a lifelong commitment, you'll discover that the entire universe conspires to support your transformation. Opportunities that seemed impossible will become natural. Relationships that seemed unattainable will become magnetic. Goals that seemed unrealistic will become inevitable. Because you will no longer be the same man who began this journey. You will be the elevated, refined, powerful version of yourself that always existed in potential but had never been fully awakened. You will be the warrior who conserves his strength for the battles that matter, the alchemist who transmutes raw energy into refined achievements, the master who governs his impulses instead of being governed by them. This is the promise of conscious seminal retention. This is the reward of directed sexual discipline. This is the inheritance awaiting every man courageous enough to claim his inner power and channel his life force into the creation of a truly extraordinary existence. The time to begin is not tomorrow, not next Monday, not when conditions are perfect. The time is now. The decision is yours. The power has always been yours. The question that remains is simply but definitive. Will you choose to be another man who squanders his life force on fleeting pleasures, or will you be the one who preserves and transmutes this force into the creation of a life that inspires respect, admiration, and lasting achievement? The answer to this question will determine not only who you become, but what kind of legacy you leave for future generations. Because men who master their sexual energy don't just transform their own lives. They raise the standard of what it means to be a man in an era that desperately needs authentic examples of conscious, directed masculine power. Your journey of transmutation begins with a single day of conscious retention, but it can culminate in a lifetime of extraordinary accomplishment and transformative influence. The choice, as always, is entirely yours.